Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nanshi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I have come here because I want to share with you my own story. I never thought that the things that happened when we were still very young, me and my young sisters, they were going to affect us for the rest of our lives. When my mother passed away, when her relatives came looking for us, even though she never returned back to our father's house after she had broken up with our father, we thought that maybe it was a sign of better things that were going to come, because growing up we used to hear that our mother got married to a man that was very wealthy after she had broken up with our father. And our father, after he had been dumped by my mom, that was when he got married again to this other woman who was evil-hearted. So the life that we were living, it was very painful, and we were just looking for someone that could just come and tell us that everything was going to be okay. So then that was when my mother passed away and her relatives came. But the reason as to why they came looking for us, it was because our mom, she was a witch, and her relatives, they knew that our mother was a witch, and they were looking for a way to chase away the spirit of witchcraft from their entire family, from the bloodline, so that no one again in the family will ever become a witch like my mom was a witch. And when they came to collect us, they showed us love, but in time they started to mistreat us. So my father and our stepmom, they were very cruel towards us. But my father, even though he was very cruel, but there were times when he would sit down with us and tell us the reason as to why he ended up breaking up with our mother. So my father and my mom, they met in an area that is called Banket. They were working on the farm. So whilst they were working on that farm, that was when my father started to notice that there were some things that my mother used to do that he could not understand. My father would say that there were times when he would wake up in the middle of the night. When my father would wake up in the middle of the night, then that is when you will see that my mother, she won't be in the bedroom with him. And when he would look, he would see that the door would be locked from the inside. And whenever he wanted to ask my mother what exactly what was going on, then my father used to say that my mother will get angry at him for ever asking why sometimes she would disappear in the middle of the night, then she will just reappear. Then there was this other day, my father said that he woke up, and when he woke up, he knew what he was doing, and then he saw that my mom was not in the bedroom with him, but the door was locked from the inside. That was when my father said he saw my mother. She came rushing into the room like the wind, and she was angry at my father because he had woken up before my mother had returned back from her witchcraft business. And then my mother was angry, and she was like, "Why are you still awake?" And my father returned back to bed, and whenever he wanted to ask my mother about this issue the next morning, then he would forget, or he will just feel lazy to ask our mom about this issue. It then happened that my father started dating another woman. My father used to say that the reason as to why he started dating another woman, it was because our mother was only giving birth to girls, and the reason as to why my mom only had girls, it was because when she was still very young, after she had been initiated into witchcraft, then she made a covenant with herself that she did not want her womb to bring forth children that were boys, only girls. My mother had made that covenant with the spirit of witchcraft, saying that all the girls that I'm going to give birth to, I want them to be my friends of the night. Whenever I go to bewitch other people, then I know that my daughters, they are going to be there with me. And my daughters, if it happens that I get old and weak and I am unable to get human flesh, my daughters, they will be young and strong, and they will be able to go wherever I would send them to go to, so that they can bewitch those people. And if it happens that we kill that person, then they would give me the human meat to eat. And this was the covenant that my mother had done with the spirit of witchcraft, and her relatives, they knew about this issue. My mother then got married to her wealthy husband, and then that was when my mother passed away. When my mother passed away, like, we were in that situation where we just wanted to find some place to go to because of the mistreatment that we were getting from our stepmom. There were too many times when she would say that your mother is a witch. Even my father, when he would get angry at me, he would be like, you are just like your mother. All of you are witches. He believed that my mother had brought bad luck into his life, even though he loved us. But there were times when he would remember the way that my mother used to treat him, and he would act so violently towards us. So the day when our uncle came, our uncle who was my mother's brother, when he came to tell my father that our mother had passed away, when he told my father that they had came to collect us so that we can go and to bury our mother with the rest of our mother's relatives, including her other kids that she had with her wealthy husband, my father then said, no, my children are not going anywhere. My children are not going anywhere. So the problem was that my mother, in her family, she had a lot of brothers, and they called each other. They came and they threatened my father, and they said that Tinokurova, meaning that we are going to beat you up if you do not give us your daughters so that we can go with them to bury their own mother. So my father, he saw that he was completely helpless. He cried as we were leaving him. But me and my little sisters, we were so happy because we thought that finally God had sent our uncle to come and rescue us, even though we had lost a mother, but we had gained our freedom. We imagined how life was going to be very good. No more being mistreated by your evil stepmother and by your violent father. Then we were taken to the place where all her friends, her relatives were gathered, including her husband's relatives as well. So they were staying in a very wealthy neighborhood. It hurt me because I was a little bit mature at that time. I understood some of the things in life that happens in life. When I saw the neighborhood where my mom was staying with her husband, I was hurt thinking about the way that we were being mistreated and suffering, being mistreated by our stepmom, but she never even bothered to come and check up on us. So, Brother Nashi, that was when we were taken to the mortuary. Like, when we arrived there, all of our mother's relatives, they started acting so nice. They were like, you have to tell us everything which was happening to you. And we told them, and they said that you are not going back. And we were happy that we were never going back to our stepmother's house. And then that was when we were taken to the mortuary. That is a hospital that is called Parirenyatwa Hospital, that is in Harare. We went there. That is where my mother passed away, and she was being kept, her body was being kept at the mortuary. So when we were taken to the mortuary, we did not even understand what we were supposed to do. In my entire life, I had never seen a person that was dead ever before. So when we got into the mortuary, it was so scary. My mother's brothers, they were standing outside, but they were giving us instructions. So when we entered into the mortuary, it was us and one of our mother's auntie who was giving us the instructions on what we were supposed to do with our mother's dead body. When we got there, I got scared because I saw for the first time someone who was dead. My mother's body was laid on a metallic table, and the mortuary workers, they were busy washing a corpse. So they had a hose pipe that they had connected, and they were using that hose pipe to wash her body. So we had brought this other little 9-liter bucket. So we were told to take it from the car, and we went with it to the mortuary. Then we were given an instruction. I was given an instruction since I was the eldest one, and we were told that this was our mother. It was very painful to see your mom now that she was dead, and when she was still alive, she never even bothered to come and check up on you. So our mom's auntie, who was with us in the mortuary, she then said that as per our tradition, since we had last seen our mom a very long time ago, we were supposed to wash her dead body so that we won't have bad luck in life, so that she can accept us and she can help us since she was now dead. And then that was when they told the guy that was working in the mortuary to fill up that 9-liter bucket with water. I was then told to wash my mother's feet, her arms, including her face. I was scared. I did not want to touch her dead body. And then that was when they said, if you are afraid, let me direct you. So my auntie was walking with me around the table, on which on top of that table my mother's body was placed on it. And then we started with the feet, and she told me to pour some water on my mother's feet, and then we moved on her left side, washed her hand and her face, and we finished off with the right hand. When we were done, that was when we were told that now our mother had accepted us. Now we could go and bury our mother. So we left the mortuary whilst they were busy preparing her body, and then when her body came, that was when we drove to the villages. So when we were in the villages, we were so excited seeing our stepfather, who seemed to be very rich. Even the kids that my mom had with her new husband, you could see that these kids, they do not know anything that is called poverty. So we thought that we were going to live a very comfortable life. Even our stepdad had promised us that he was going to come and take us back to stay with him. He said, I want my children to have a very strong bond, but he never came back for us. When everyone was gone back to their homes, that was when we saw that life was very difficult. The first year, I think our mother's relatives, they were afraid because they thought that we would run back to our father, because there were some rituals that they still wanted us to perform. So they were treating us kindly. There was a time when my grandmother, who was my mother's mom, said that we were supposed to take my mother's old clothes, some of them. We went with them into the mountains, and then she gave us an instruction as to how we were supposed to burn those clothes that used to belong to our mom. Life was very difficult. The clothes that we had brought with us from Harare, it was not a lot, and there was no one who was buying any clothes for us. So we started wearing the clothes that once belonged to our mother, even though they were extra large for us. So as time went on, because of the difficulties that I was facing in life, I then started dating another man who was a married man who was staying in that village, but he was a businessman. I was an underaged girl, but I was dating that man because of the situation that I was facing in life. He would give me money, and I would use that money to buy whatever that I could for my little sisters. So this man, he had a phone. I then spoke one day with my father, and then I told my father that life was very difficult, and I was hoping that my father was going to come so that he can come and get us out of the horrific place which we had found ourselves in. Our father was even afraid of his brother-in-laws, who were my late mother's brothers, because they were plenty who were staying in that village. So we made a plan with my boyfriend and my father, and we waited for my father somewhere else. We pretended as if we wanted to go and fetch water. We took our water buckets and then we went to the village borehole where we left the buckets, and then we met our father. He cried when we told him everything that had happened. We got onto the bus and we then returned back to Harare. He thought that maybe they were going to come and attack him, but I think that my mother's relatives, they were already done with us and they never came back for us. As for my mother's kids, my siblings that she had with her rich husband, they are now staying overseas. We do not have any communication at all. So it is me and my sisters, we are the ones that are suffering. When we returned back to Harare, I started dating another man. I fell pregnant and I started staying with that man. This man would beat me up, saying that I am a witch, I am a witch. I am making his life to be very difficult. I then ran away from home and I came to South Africa, where I started working. Brother Nashi, do you know that I was even raped by this other man that I was working for? So in the same area where I am staying, because now I am staying at this other plot, but I used to work for this other white man who has a very big farm. So I did not even know whom I was supposed to tell, and knowing that I was in a foreign country. So when it happened, Brother Nashi, I was called by this man that I was working for. Like, he had a lot of workers, but I was working for him as the maid. Then he told me that I was supposed to get on his motorbike because he wanted us to go and look for the horse. He had already instructed the other workers to go into the bushes to look for that horse. But as for me, he told me to get onto his motorbike, and then he drove with me in another direction. We then went to this other area where there were a lot of jacaranda trees close to this other small river, and then he parked his motorbike and he told me to walk in front of him whilst we were heading into the thick bushes. And it was so scary. I was even scared that we were going to get bitten by a snake. So as we were walking, that was when he started touching me and he told me to lie down. I did as I had been instructed to do, and he came on top of me and he told me to put a condom on his manhood, and he slept with me, and he said I was never supposed to tell anyone. Like, it was so stressing for me. And then that was when I returned back home, and I returned back again because of poverty. I started staying with my friend. She does not even know that this is the reason as to why I stopped working at that farm. I am now working for another white couple as a maid. The way that they hate me, Brother Nashi, even if it happens that there is someone who has made a mistake at work, they will blame me. Like that man that I used to work for, there is this other electrical device that they use when they are transporting cattle. So they shock the cattle when the cattle have moved into the one side of the truck, and then they would start to shock them so that they won't make the truck to tip over. He used to shock me with that one, even though he had slept with me. He had this deep hatred for me that I could not understand. It is not only these people that have been hating on me, even the men that I have dated. I really do not even understand what is wrong with me. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister. She is saying that she has gone with her sisters to different prophets, and they have been told that it was a ritual that was performed on them, because in the family they said that they do not want this spirit of witchcraft anymore. After her mom had passed away, then they decided that it was far much better that they give this spirit of witchcraft to her daughters. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Have you ever been asked to do something that you could not understand at a funeral, at a family gathering, or at a place where there were a lot of people? Things that you do not understand why you were told to do such a thing. You can come to my inbox and let us talk about it.